Hello everyone. I've had a few messages asking if I watched Brett May podcast. Yes, I watched it. I watched it. One of the things that stands out to me the most is this little laugh and giggle he does here. Bro.
I love that.
You get me? Now, that laugh and giggle, as much as daft as this is going to sound, tells me that he's full of shit. Tells me that he's got the mental capacity of a 12-year-old. Tells me that he thinks everything is big and clever he's saying, you know, constantly glorifying whatever he said he's done, you know, which I don't really like, to be fair. You know, when you go on these podcasts and stuff like that, yeah, they want to drag your past up and they want to talk about, you know, what you did in them days and what it was in them days when you were a criminal or you were this or you were that, you know. But there's ways and means of going about it, you know. Have a bit of remorse, you know, be ashamed of how you were, you know. It's not big and it's not clever, you know. Being involved in that type of behaviour and being involved in that world it's not good. It's not good. It really isn't. I'm embarrassed that I did the things I did in my past. You know, I'm embarrassed that I was what I was, you know, which was I was a criminal, you know. I robbed, I stole, I lied, I manipulated. I did a lot of bad stuff, you know, criminal stuff, you know. I'm deeply ashamed of how I was and the things that I've done. You know, some of the stuff that I did keeps me awake at night. You know, that's how much I've changed as a person. You know, my heart is softened to that stuff. And then when I'm listening to Brett talk about it and he's going, you know, laughing and giggling and nodding his head like a 12-year-old, you know, it's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. But on the bright side, I don't believe any of the stuff he's saying. Like, I just know with all my heart, with every single ounce of my being, that whatever he's saying and talk about, it's not true. It's not true. It never happened. You know, the barbecue thing where he said he stabbed someone in the eye, never happened. That's not true. You know, knocking on dealers' doors and asking for 50 grand, that never happened. That's not true. You know, just like when he starts talking about me, Danny Christie and Decker Eggy, none of that's true. You know, none of it's true. You know, he couldn't help himself. You know, 3 times he's had the chances to fight me, Decker, and Brett. He's had good opportunities to fight all 3 of us, and it's never happened. You know, I was in Doncaster. I come home very safe. Nothing happened. I was all around Doncaster town. He can say what he wants that he was outside my hotel. I was nowhere near that hotel. That was on the other side of Doncaster, wherever it was. You know, I'm not even going to get into that anyway. I've already told my story around that. You know, thank God for Danny Christie going to Doncaster, recording it all, going live, because he exposed him. He exposed him for what he was. And when he did that, I had people actually messaging me, apologising. Sorry mate, we actually thought he was outside your hotel. We thought you were in that hotel. No, I was nowhere near that hotel. I wasn't in that hotel. I've never been to that hotel in my life. You know, so thank God for Danny Christie going up there and exposing him, because then everyone's saying like, do you know what, Paul must have been telling the truth. No, well I was. Do you know what I mean? That man was nowhere near me. You know, and when that, like, and he never would come anywhere near me. You know, I don't know if I've ever shared this, right, but when I did the Sean Atwood podcast the second time, I went up to see Sean Atwood, and Brett May was walking out, and I seen him. You know, he doesn't look scary. He's a big, soft individual, you know, soft around the midriff, all squidgy around the arms, you know, doesn't look scary. He's not 6'2" or 6'3". You know, I'm 5'11". 6 foot now. I'm 5'11", and he didn't look much bigger than me. Not at all. You know, it's not a human being what I look at him for. Ooh, he looks tasty. Do you know what I mean? He just looks soft. He is soft. He is a soft individual. That's exactly what he is. You know, but watching this podcast, my reaction to it is it's just all Jack and Ori time, isn't it? That's all it is. It's just pure Jackanory, pure story time, you know, and it's just embarrassing, extremely embarrassing, you know, to see a grown man acting the way he's acting, glorifying, laughing and giggling, thinking he's something that he's not. You know, we've all been there, you know, we've all lived in that, like people that have been there. I've been in that fantasy world thinking I'm something I'm not. But this is extreme. What I've just watched Brett go through on that podcast, the things he was saying and doing, that's extreme delusion. That's extreme fantasy world. That is childish behaviour. Like just the nodding and the laughing and the giggling. I just think, like, it makes me embarrassed, the fact that I've had a back and forth with this man, that I'm probably going to continue to have a back and forth with this man. I really am embarrassed for it, but I say it and I say it again. Do you know what I mean? Brett made those numbers. You can make some money when you talk about him. That's the only reason I will do it. I'm not excited about fighting with him. I know I'm 99% sure that man will never be in my presence. I'm 99% sure that man will do everything in his power to make sure that he never has to swap a few shots with me. That's a fact. But this isn't. Do you know what I was for? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a Danny style review where my camera's on him, and I'm going to talk about his podcast. But I just thought, I can't even bring myself to doing it. I can't. I don't want to do it. You know, I've seen enough. I've heard enough. You know, I wasted nearly 2 hours of my life last night watching it, and then just in awe of feeling very foolish, feeling very foolish. Is a massive word for me, because that's exactly how I felt. You argue with fools, you become a fool. That's what I am. You know what? I might as well get paid for being a fool. Brett May, you're a sausage, pal. God bless.